Week 11, Part 2. A lot of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff, junk that floats through the first couple of minutes of the movie that doesn't really come back in any way. Um, it's very much like you would see in poetry. It's a kind of it's very much it's confusing in the way that dreams are confusing. And again, I'm sure you guys have noticed that both David Lynch is very obsessed with dreams in the two movies of his that you've seen so far. Um, and that also and there's a lot of dreamy stuff in these movies. Even in Wizard of Oz, it's a very kind of dreamy movie, but it's confusing in the way that dreams are confusing. They're these kind of disconnected images, and it's kind of hard to make sense of. And the music is very aggressive and difficult. Um, I don't have a ton actually to say about the first couple minutes of the movie, even though I know I should. The director said that he felt like he was clearing away old things, like shaking his head and getting all the junk out before he gets started. It's a little bit like a symphony tuning up, where you hear the instruments play these random kind of notes all together just to make sure everything's working before they start the symphony. Um, there are some interesting images that do relate to the movie. The penis is interesting in particular, just because this is a movie where they're just like, in 2001 has basically no women. Persona has basically no men, which is interesting. Um, the cartoon is silly, but it's a skeleton, it's death. Those are kinds of things that the movie is interested in. The spider is famous in mythology for weaving things. It's a female occupation. It's female. It's art made by women is weaving, and there's something there. I don't know. The sacrifice of the lamb and the nail through the palm, they're both Jesus images. Jesus is called the Lamb of God because lamb is a metaphor. Lambs are what does Jesus have in common with a lamb? They are peaceful. They are common, regular, everyday animals. Jesus is not a dragon. And they're both sacrificed. In ancient Greece, they would sacrifice lambs, and Jesus is supposed to be kind of the final sacrifice. And anyway, that's the idea of it. They're sacrificed to the gods. Okay, cool. There's also a fence that has snow on either side of the fence, which I think is actually an interesting image because it suggests the whole point of a fence is there's things on this side of the fence and things on that side of the fence, but the snow goes through the fence and is on both sides. That's really important for the movie we're about to watch, where these two women, who should be separate people, start to blend into each other in extremely confusing ways. Okay, then there's like a kid who's dead or maybe not dead, and there's an old woman there, and I don't know, and then there's like a face, and the kid touches the face, and anyway, let's come back to this stuff, because I don't know how to fucking deal with this. The two things I will tell you for getting started. Um, um, the two characters, the two main women in the film are named Vogler and Alma. Alma, many of you who speak Spanish will know this. Alma is a word that means soul, or innermost treasure. Alma is like it's a beautiful word, but it's like something extremely personally valuable, not an object, but like your soul, your spirit, your sort of innermost secret or desire is your Alma. Vogler, interestingly, means bird catcher, and women are often referred to as birds. So there's something in there about Vogler being a trap, a bird catcher. She catches Alma. She's like a trap for Alma. But there's a metaphor in here too about the soul, and I don't know. It's a wacky movie. Okay, so all right, and we're also told that Vogler fell ill while she was playing Electra. Electra is a character. Electra is a character from ancient Greek mythology, who is part of a series of ancient Greek plays. Again, where does the word persona come from? It's a mask that actors wore in ancient Greece on the stage. Electra is a character in an ancient Greek play who's part of a complicated revenge plot, where this kid comes back and has to murder, his father murdered his mother, and he's got to murder his mother murdered his father, and he's got to come back and murder the mom to get. It's one of these like murder your whole family ancient Greek revenge stories. But again, worth pointing out, actress. It's about an actress. It's very important that we remember this going forward. So I think we got the opening things. Okay, cool. These are kind of the opening moves. Let's talk a little bit about the way the film is shot, because it's real important. You guys know that there are sort of, you can, you guys know there are like very far away shots where you have the person in the distance. And then there's sort of shots like this. This is like a medium shot, right? This is normal. A lot of, like when you see a comedy movie and they don't give a shit about how it's directed, the whole movie looks like this, basically, where it's just people from the torso up making jokes. Stanley Kubrick loves these really far away shots for his movies because he likes to show people dominated by the landscape. So, in The Shining in 2001, people are very small and the landscape is gigantic. Persona is doing something else. Like, all of Persona is this fucking close. It's just a whole movie about people's faces. This is, I think, a really important piece of camera work to think about. It's what makes the movie so intense. I mean, many of you probably didn't find it intense. Many of you probably found it fucking boring. But it's an intense movie if you watch it the right, if you can get your head in the right space. It's an intense film because of the close-ups. One thing to consider: think about it in real life. How often in real life are you this close to a person's face? Very rarely. Maybe a mom and a baby would get this close. Otherwise, if you're this close to somebody, if your face is this close to somebody's face, you're probably going to make out with them. Right? This is the kind of like waking up in bed together, for the first time when you're very close to someone's face. It's intimate. It is extraordinarily intimate. And I think this is an important thing to think about for what persona is and how it works and what it does, is that one of the things that literature gives us, notice I'm including persona in a list of, a film is literature. It's a type of literature. Well, I don't know. Anyway, it's very similar to literature in a lot of ways. It's art. It's not just entertainment, Marvel movies. It's art. My whole class has been making this point. But one of the things that literature does for human beings is that in life, there's only a handful of people that you're going to get to know really well. Like really intimately, like where you know all their secrets and everything about them. Only a very tiny number of people you may meet hundreds of people in your life, but only a handful are you really going to know on your best friend and your wife and your whatever, right? It's only a handful of people that your child that you're going to get to know on this really intense, intimate level. And one of the things that literature does is it provides us access to be intimate with people. You find out about people's in Shakespeare plays, for example. You learn about the interior life of human beings. And these might not be human beings you'd ever talk to in real life. But you get, and again, and they're fake people. They're made up by an author, but they feel like real people if the author doesn't, right? And so it's a chance for intimacy with people. But there's not that many people you get to know really well in life. And so one of the things that art gives you is it expands the number of human beings, even though they're fake human beings, that you are intimate with. Persona is about this kind of intimacy. A whole movie where everybody's shot this close. Really, the intimacy between the two women is extremely intense. It's so intense that they begin to blend and meld into each other in confusing ways. But it's also, don't forget, it's not just a square, it's a cube, right? It's not just about what's going on screen. It's about the relationship between the screen and the audience. So the intimacy isn't just between the two women, it's also between you and the women. I mean, you get to know Alma real well since she has quite a few secrets that she shares with Vogler, and you get to hear it as well. Okay, cool. I feel like this is going real well. So it's a study of faces, and it's handled. It's shot extremely unusually. And I'm sure you notice this right from the first 5 minutes of the movie. Well, not the first 5 minutes, but the first 10 minutes. You start seeing some really strange things the way the film is shot. And a lot of times students don't notice camera angles and these kinds of things, but you'll notice it here, which is normally in a movie when you have a conversation. You show me, and I'm talking to my friend, and then I don't have a person here, but I'm Jeff's friend, and then you right, the camera swoops back, it cuts between two people talking. But in Persona, the camera doesn't do that. I say something, and then the other person talks to me, and the camera just stays on me. Right? The camera just sits on Alma, and she's having a conversation, but it doesn't leave her face. And when usually you're used to, when the person talking gets to be on screen. That's not true in Persona. In Persona, the camera will just sit on the person talking and then stay on their face while they listen, and then keep staying on their face while they talk more, and then keep staying on their face while they listen more. And the result is that you've got like a 5 full minutes of just staring at somebody's face and not seeing anything else. It's a very, very intimate perspective, and it haunts the whole movie. It also makes you feel like you're really there, because when you have a conversation with somebody, you don't get a reverse shot of your face. When you have a conversation with somebody, you talk to them and you see their face, And then when you're quiet, you're also seeing their face. When they're no matter who's if you went to lunch with a friend of yours, you look at their face the whole time. No matter you look at their face the whole time, no matter who's talking. This film likes to do that because it's about intimacy. It's also about the dangers of intimacy. So we'll pick it up in the next video.